Hello YouTube Vintage Tube Radio Restorers. This is the chassis of the Addison Courthouse 5A3. The one that I was talking about that I picked up just a little while ago. And I'll just show you here. New capacitors, new filters, cleaned up the wiring, resoldered a lot of things. I'll show you here. Original Rogers rectifier, but a replacement, a Cornell 50L6. 50L6 had a cathode, slight short on the cathode to the heater. New 12SQ7 and RCA. And SQ7 is actually a very important tube in these 5 tube sets. It does quite a few things, amplification, and it's a double diode as well. So if you have any kind of problems with that one, it just doesn't work very well. And then a new old stock 12 SA7 Westinghouse. So the tubes in the IEF are all metal tubes. Cleaned up a chassis as best I can. It's a galvanized chassis showing a little bit of age. This piece here with the dial mechanism was badly corroded. The paint that was on them originally was yellow, and it used to be very thin oil-based paint. And it just did not look good because it is the backstop for the dial. So I cleaned up the dial, put a little tape around the ends, because if you tighten these too hard on the glass dial, you can crack it. And this is beyond where the wood is. New dial lamp. So nice, that's nicely cleaned up. New dial string, because they always end up slipping. Looked like it was the original. Here it is here. I had a few thin spots and it stretched. A new spring. When I took the old one off, it went like that. It actually broke the last little bit of it because it was rusty. The speaker this is an electromagnet 5 1/4 speaker. Is actually in very nice shape. One repair. Looks like some kind of airplane glue or something like that. Now I'm going to touch it. So let's turn it on. There comes the dial lamp. These are great looking dial, love them. And it should come up pretty fast with those new tubes. And as you know, AM radio reception is not that great these days. There you go. I have on AM 740, which is oldies. Not for too long because we don't want to get into trouble with YouTube.
Germans just about every facet of life and said, okay, fine, you know.
Strong performing radio. Considering all the RF from Wi-Fi around us. Now I'm just going to flip it to shortwave. I just have about 5 feet worth of alligator clips put together here to give it a shortwave antenna. Flip it to shortwave. So it has a shortwave band, 6 megahertz to about 15. See if we can get anything. Oh, hang on. Some code transmission.
Of Israel would stand and bless the people.
It's actually not bad. It's a little touchy because this is quite a band spread. You know, these were an economy radio in the day. What I like about this era of tube radio is you take the knobs off and basically 2 bolts underneath that come through the radio case, and you have the whole chassis including the speaker, and that was designed for service. You could pull it out and, you know, change tubes around, plug it in. Be careful not to touch it. Now this one, I do a little modification on these. I make sure that it has a polarized core, so I replace that cord, and that the neutral is on the B- bus, and that there's a safety capacitor between there and the chassis. And then what you can do, and I do this on every one, is going to do this with, sorry if I'm dipping and swaying, it's because I'm holding the camera. Put my multimeter on the AC scale, unwind the cord a bit, and there's a ground over here on my power bar. I'm just going to clip it onto that, and then just touch the chassis. So there's about 3 volts AC. So there's a little trickle coming past the safety capacitor, and that's fine. That will not give you shock. I'm touching it with a wet finger. You will not get a shock from this radio. And when you turn it off, the hot part of the circuit is on the volume control. So it's disconnected. So there shouldn't even be anything now. Now it's about 0.3, a little bit of leakage. And that could just be just proximity, like induction. That's the way to do it on these, because it is a bit of a safety hazard. I'll just show you underneath. Get some light here. So this is actually the cap here. This is a 600 volt polyester cap from the B- to chassis ground. Some of the finer points, if you're interested, I actually keep the original cap in, but cut the leads off. Put in a terminal board here, just under one of the screws that holds down the speaker assembly. So an 80 microfarad, a 50 microfarad, 160 volt brand new cap on the terminal board. So if one goes, you can replace without ripping things apart. I also put an extra, because I put the hot lead through the switch and the B- is then floating, I put an extra terminal strip in there to bring connections to, just for ease. And this one really cleaned up very nice. This thing sounded terrible. I'll show you what I pulled out of it. There's what I pulled out of it. So somebody had attempted a restoration, and it was just wrong capacitor values. Some of them were even on the wrong terminal. This has the B- is floating on this. The positive is actually the bus through the circuit. Kind of an odd thing. So the original capacitor, original filter capacitor, the can was positive. And this was reversed on this. So these caps actually were inverted. And they didn't blow. Like, how did they not bulge and blow up? I don't know. Anyway, I'm going to reassemble it into the cabinet and maybe do a later video on it. Thanks for watching and listening.